On May 29, 2019, the people of Ogun State felt the breath air of welcoming a new government ably led by Prince Dapo Abeokuta, who came on board with his vision and mission statement to include, but not limited to, changing the entire face of Ogun State, uplifting the state to a greater height, taking the state and leaving it better than he met it, he said on the day of the inauguration. I want to welcome you to the maiden edition of Scorecard, the program that tends to look at the activities of Prince Dapo Abeokuta since the inception of this administration, powered by the Ogun State Government Delivery Unit. On Scorecard today, I am not alone in the studio. I have with me a resource person, the man in charge of this department government delivery unit. I have with me Mr. Leko Onomose, who will be taking us through the activities of this unit, particularly being a new agency or new unit created, a creation of Prince Dapo Abeokuta-led government. Join me as I welcome on the studio with me today, Mr. Leko Onomose.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And nice having you on Ogun Scorecard today.
It's a pleasure.
When Prince Dapo Abeokuta came on board, he thought it wise to create Ogun State Government Delivery Unit. Can you tell us about the unit?
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much. But let me take you a bit back into the history did not start of the office from where you started from. The history actually started in February 2019, when the good people of Ogun State gave the governor the mandate to get a first term as the executive governor of Ogun State. In his maiden speech on the inauguration day, he made a passionate pledge to the entire people of Ogun State. And the pledge was, he promised to administer Ogun State in a fair, in an equitable, in a just, in a transparent, and in an accountable manner. This pledge he took was a passionate pledge because he has consistently repeated this pledge like every week whenever it goes out, because he's passionate about that project. And this speaks exactly to one of the reasons why he created the Government Delivery Office, to be a vehicle through which he will achieve the following pre-listed objectives that he has. So creating Government Delivery Office is a process efficiency decision. Why? Because he feels there is a discord or lack of connection between government intentions and the outcomes that government gets in the past, which is probably the reason why we always have failure in government in most of the situations. And it feels that there's a need for a unit to be in place to be able to manage the process between the government intention and the outcome that is going to be of benefit to the people of Ogun State. And that was one of the reasons why the Government Delivery Unit was created in 2019 with one single charge: to improve the efficiency with which things are done across the value chain. The nature of our engagements actually impacts on all government interventions and all economic programs. So we come in, we understudy exactly what is going on, how the various ministries are currently undertaking their task. We look at the ways that we can add value or improve the process. We make recommendations to them, and we work in consultation with them in a way and manner that they might see a need for them to kind of twiggle the way they are currently handling things. Let me make it very clear. Ogun State's, the Government Delivery Office is not the project owners. These project owners are the various NDAs, but we come in to work with them to see how we can add value by improving the process, by understanding the various planning that is undertaken before a project is commenced, and also to monitor the stages of implementation, just to be sure that this particular project is in track for delivery. Because really, government delivery is about delivery. It means that the government wants to deliver on all its intended initiatives and programs.
And mission.
Yes, and we are there to be a vehicle working in partnership with the various MDAs in order to achieve that objective. So we break this down into various components in order to be able to deliver this unique task. Number one, we have to be involved at the planning stage. By the planning, each initiative or each program will need to be planned after it has been decided based on various parameters or algorithm why they think that project or initiative should be undertaken. Once that is done, we kick in, working in partnership with the MDAs to be able to know how do you intend to go about delivering this project. What resources do you intend to deploy in arranging this particular project? Who are the stakeholders that you will call on board to be able to, what milestones, what timelines are we going to follow in delivering this? We go through quite a raft of decision points, and we have templates that guides us to be able to do those things. And of course, those templates varies from MDA to MDA because of the nature of their projects, and the nature of their undertaking varies from one agency to the other. So that is just the synopsis of what the government delivery unit is all about.
And from all this that you've said, it's to me that the GDU, Government Delivery Unit, the task before you is kind of enormous. Let's now look at the pillar of this government, which is, the Ishaya pillar that is looking at, infrastructure, social welfare and well-being, youth education, youth empowerment, and agriculture. We have some ministries, which is, of course, it's normal that some ministries are actually in the A list of, government activities like taking the works and infrastructure, the health, the education ministries. These are ministries that, actually gets to the A list. How much of involvement of this GDU to ensure that, you said that from the start, all through the implementation, you are involved. So far since the creation of this, GDU, how much can you say as a task being involved in all these things from the start to the implementation? Of course, you will not be holding forth for all these commissioners in charge of this ministry, but from your unit, how much of involvement you will talk about then? So far, what can you say?
Yes, like I said before, the unit is just about 2 years old. We are just 2 years. We've just gone through our initial setup period, and we've started engaging with the various MDAs. But the numbers are very diverse. The responsibility, like you rightly mentioned, they are very diverse. If we say we want to approach all of them, then we're just going to lose focus. So what we operate on is what we call selective key selective projects. These key selective projects can be projects that we, as an agency, consider to be a priority to the government and to the people of Ogun State, in which we will use our initiative to identify that this particular project is one we want to follow up on. And in some cases, we do get directives from His Excellency or the Chief Economic Advisor telling us that, look, these are the priorities of the government during this period. They want us to delve in and look at those projects. Once we get that instruction, we have templates, like I said. We have templates that we adopt for different key agencies, because we work in partnership, or we have the support of a consultant that assists the company, the unit in delivering all these assessments. So we do have templates that we use for the various MDAs, depending on what the instruction is, but they all go through particular cycle. The cycle starts from immediately we get the instruction from the top, or we take our personal intuition that we want to go on that product. The first thing we do, we sit with the planning committee. What is the strategy? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? What's the way forward? What's the critical paths to take towards achieving this object? Once we cross that bridge, we go into what resources are required. How are we going to get the resources? The timing of the resources. How are we going to put all this together? We sit with the drivers of the project, who are the MDAs. We sit with them to see how they're going to do it. So once we finish the implementation of course, the next thing we have to do is we go into what we call a monitoring and evaluation segment of our operation. And what do we do in that segment? Simply, we are trying to see how the plans we have made has been translated into actions. What gaps are there? What risks are there? What experiences, what lessons can we take over from this project that can be beneficial to future and subsequent projects? That takes us to the monitoring and the evaluation point. And of course, we finish up at the reporting. First, we manage the stakeholders, then we do the reporting segment. So you find out that this is like a cycle. You know, it's like it goes round in cycle.
You know, it's a chain.
It's a chain kind of thing. But the function in one NDA, of course, differs from.
General overview, you know, the administration is just going to end its first term, that's 4 years, and you have spent 2 years. So your general overview of the unit so far, how you know, have you been able to see your reaction to the unit? Are you satisfied so far the achievements made or the effort made so far by the unit?
Yeah, it's a learning curve.
Okay.
We are going through our learning period now. This is the first 2 years. It's been remarkable. A lot of experiences has been gained. A lot of relationships have been built. A lot of challenges have thrown itself in the course of our undertaking, which we know we expected. But we are very well sustained. You know, we will maintain the course tactically, smartly, and you know, with wisdom. But on the whole, it's been a great experience. Talking about the major thing that we are doing, which is what we are promoting on the scorecard, as part of His Excellency Prince Abeokuta's vision to engage the public and to hold accountability as the highest possible level. This is the reason why we're having this program. This program is going to be one of 13 programs that we are going to be undertaking. Each head of project-driven agencies, including the Office of the Chief Economic Advisor being the main hub, are going to be coming to speak to the people of Ogun State on a week-by-week basis, telling the people of Ogun State what exactly have you done for the agency, for the benefit of the people of Ogun State in the last 4 years, taking it on from 2019 to the current date. They are going to be telling them about what projects they have undertaken, what the interventions are, what are the benefits, what are the, you know, they'll speak to the people of Ogun State about a wide range of things. And we'll be getting that experience with the first commissioner that is going to come up after me on stage now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anamuse. It's, you know, worthwhile discussion with you on this set today. And as you said, it's a scorecard of this administration. We'll go for this short break, and when we return, we shall be talking to you with the ministry that will be coming on board to tell us what they have been able to do so far since the inception of this administration. Join us again. It is still the scorecard in case you're just turning in your television station to OGTV. Earlier, I was having in the studio with me the special advisor to the Ogun State Governor on Government Delivery Unit, Mr. Leko Onomusi, who has been able to take us through the activities of the unit and what they do, a review of the ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And they say education is the best legacy, and it's a key ministry in the administration of Prince Abeokuta that has gotten a lot of attention, of Governor Abeokuta's attention has been channeled towards the growth of the education sector. And with me in the studio today is the man in the ends of affair of that ministry, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu. Yes, what have they done? 2 years, 4 years ago, what has the ministry been able to do? Sit back, you enjoy this segment with us as I welcome in the studio with me, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu. Nice having you in the studio, sir.
Thank you very much.
Education is the best legacy. Like I said earlier, it can be bequeathed to generation, from generation to another. this administration made it clear as part of vision and mission statement that we are going to take the state to a greater height. It's going to become the envy among in the Committee of States. You are the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology. Tell us, what has the administration of Prince Dr. Abiodun been able to do from the action to the implementation and where we are today? We are coasting towards the end of the first term in office of his administration.
Thank you very much. Well, Governor Dr. Abiodun MFR, when he came into the saddle, he looked at the entire education sector, and he was not satisfied with what he saw. Because of that, he declared emergency in the education sector. Declaring emergency, well, you know, talk is very cheap. You can say anything, but he put his mouth and his money where his mouth is by making sure that that was followed with action. Declaration of emergency led to the cancellation of all fees, all forms of levies and fees in schools. So that one actually improved access, and we had more and more learners coming into school. Okay, that definitely will come with a lot of challenges, you know, even for the school administrators. And so doing that, he decided to introduce running costs, and heads of schools, principals and head teachers were given running costs, and the running costs within 1 year was also increased by 120%. And that is still ongoing now, to make management of schools very easy, you know. So, but putting it together, that led to what we call the Ogun State Education Revitalization Agenda. When you say you are revitalizing something, I mean, it's like where something is dying, and you want to imbue that thing with life. So to imbue education with life, to actually give lifeline to the education sector. So we came up with the Ogun State Education Revitalization Agenda. We call it OGTV for short. And OGTV has 6 pillars. The first pillar has to do with curriculum design and redesigning, you know. And the second pillar is school management. The third pillar is technology integration into education generally and into teaching and learning. And the fourth pillar is revenue and funding. The fifth pillar is infrastructure, and the sixth pillar is teacher and student welfare. You see, when we talk about the curriculum, a number of things has happened. And even in the area of the curriculum, apart from making the curriculum more learner-centered and more creativity involving, we also try to improve how teachers do their work. That, if you remember, during the lockdown, 2020, the COVID-19, we were the first state to respond through the Ogun Digi class. OGTV was actively involved in that particular. So we were able to take teaching and learning to learners wherever they were. You know, the novelty about that innovation, about that approach was the fact that we were not relying on technology alone. We were actually marrying technology with the power of the television. If you look at rural areas where there are no, maybe no electricity, no internet access and so on, and you want to deliver teaching and learning through virtual means, it will fail. But we're able to, from the center where it was delivered, use television to beam it to every corner in the state. So all they needed was probably one small, I better pass my neighbor generator
to power their television.
So that means so. Let me leave the area of curriculum. I talked about school management today with what we call the digital platform for education revitalization. We are able to administer the entire education process in Ogun State. We are the first state to introduce that, and that has made it possible for us to do a number of things through technology. Teachers mark attendance now through technology, no carrying of papers around. Students get their report sheet through electronic means. We call it electronic dossier. We are the first state to introduce that in Nigeria. And apart from that, we have improved the way examinations are written. Ogun State Ministry of Education has what we call the examination processing unit, and probably we are the first Ministry of Education that will have that, which made it possible for us to be able to produce answer booklets for students, for learners all over the state, and then also specialized OMR sheets, optical recognition sheets, for them to write examination, producing for over 2 million students, and better management of examination. And if you go to the area of technology integration into teaching and learning now, apart from the fact that this technology actually runs through all the 6 pillars of XERA, because through technology we are able to also monitor infrastructure in school now. So I mean, the governor doesn't need to leave his office to know what is happening in a number of places. Even from my phone or from the laptop, we can actually do that. That's through the XERA platform. So you see that now, because of the technology integration, we also thought that teachers should be able to do this work better, and particularly for science teachers now, through what we call the OGTV project. We have the PSI and PMI program that just finished last week. We have trained 750 STEM teachers. So these teachers are going to use PMI, PSI methodologies to improve teaching of science and mathematics in schools. So because of that, we are also going to add more to the facilities we have given to those schools as a result of what we finished last year. What I'm trying to say in essence is that it's not even about what we have even achieved alone. We still continue to work. We are going to work throughout to the
last day.
Yes. So immediately the learners will be resuming at the beginning of next term. Those teachers will now be able to implement that methodology. But going into other things that we have done, we have been able to give wheelchairs to learners with disabilities. We have given white canes to learners with visual impairment. We have been able to resuscitate the Bail Book Production Center. That is a center that was established in Ogun State in 2007, and it worked for a few years. And I think for more than 12-15 years, that center actually became moribund. So this administration came on board and we resuscitated that one. Because of that now, our learners with visual impairment can read the books that are being read by their counterparts, and also the examination, we're able to use it. So we are producing Braille books and Braille examination question papers from the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology all over the state. Well, apart from that, for learners, then also we increase the learners' feeding allowance in those schools. That is the special schools.
The special schools.
Yeah, we increased their feeding allowance by 50%. When we came on board, they were having 80 naira per meal and so on. We increased it to 120 naira per meal, and we have also supplied more beddings for them, improved their hostels, and so on. So don't forget the yellow roof revolution, which is under the 4th pillar, infrastructure. You see that all over the state. As I speak now, we have done over 1,000 of such projects, and we have just now advertised another 1,000 to touch probably areas that have not been touched, or in some places people will say, well, we still have buildings that are maybe with blown off roofs and so on, or to start some buildings from scratch. So there will be fresh constructions. There will be those that will be rehabilitated. There will also be channelization, erosion problem in some of the schools and so on, and also supply of equipment and maybe learning materials in some of the schools. In our tertiary institution, we have introduced payment of bursaries to learners, to students of Ogun State origin all over the state. And for the first time, we actually use a system to capture this data so that the money gets directly to the students that should get that money. We didn't issue checks. Monies were sent directly into the account because we used their matriculation number and the JAMB registration number, and then we sent it to the account number as no intermediary. So apart from that, we introduced scholarships for brilliant students that are on first class, or students that are on distinction in the colleges of education or polytechnics. As long as they continue to maintain it, they continue to get that scholarship. And for those of them that probably they are not very brilliant but indigent, we introduced what we call work study program. Through that, the work study program, they work in the school, and then they get a little stipend through which they are able to support themselves and also support whatever this thing they have to do. And yet they are still able to continue reading without any encumbrances. It will interest you to note that in one of the institutions, Staff in particular, the best overall student that graduated last year actually was one of the works of the student. So that is to tell you that that is a student that will have actually dropped off. So
but
that
because of that enablement, was able to manage
to remain in the system, and then so you see some of the benefits of that particular initiative. As we speak now, we continue to work in all the segments of the education system in Ogun State to make it better than we met it, and make sure that by the time we'll be leaving, even the blind will see what we have done, if I can say that, and the deaf will also know what I mean, be able to say something about what we have done.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner. This is highly comprehensive, given the economic crunch and the limited resources available for government to do what the government is doing. But the ministry seems to have adopted, 100% the use of ICT, taking for instance the introduction of DigiClass that you rightly mentioned earlier during the COVID. That was introduced during the COVID. But considering what it used to be, because the advancement in technology has not gotten to the grassroots, how do you ensure that this gets to the people in the grassroots? Because many of them, if they don't have the access to actually surf the internet to do all these things, everything will not be on television for them to see.
Yes.
From the classroom, they might need to, like you said, now we are looking at, the ministry is looking at a way of making their result coming to them without having to go. Gone are the days where you go with your...
We're not looking at it. They're already getting
okay.
that.
So if this access is not available to those in the grassroots, how do we go about ensuring?
Thank you very much. Well, maybe it is important to mention, because I didn't list out all what we have done. We have done so much, but it is important, because you mentioned the issue of teachers, to mention that this administration was probably the one that came back now to employ teachers. Teachers have not been employed in this state in the past 10 or 12 years. So, and we've been having teachers retiring, some leaving the job and so on. So we actually employed. So we introduced what we call the Ogun Teach. That Ogun Teach intervention, we call it the Teaching Experience Acquisition Channel, led to 5,000 interns. So we have taken on 2,000, another 1,000 is ongoing now. So we intend to actually inject all the 5,000 into it. So talking about the technology, there is hardly anywhere you get to in the state, you won't get a bit of internet connection, or people use Android phones or iPhones all over the state. And so as long as you can have a bit of internet access. Going beyond that, you see that even the youths of today, they are not as those of us who are even old now.
That generation.
Yes. So the way they go for you see people are using WhatsApp, using Facebook, and so on and so forth. So what we do is that in those schools, we are supporting them, even through the World Bank project. We intend to ensure that all our schools are actually supported to be able to deliver this. There will be additional, there will be supply of laptops. We're actually working on that now, to supply laptops to schools, apart from what we have given them before, because of this technology integration, using it to do attendance, using it for results, and so on and so forth. And we have seen situations whereby some of these learners are exploited when they go outside to do this. So we are empowering the schools to be able to make provision for learners to be able to use this, and teachers to be able to do it in school. Then there will also be data for them to be able to do that, and then we'll give them some backup in terms of power, solar, and then generator to also support that, so that they will be able to do it. So because we are going technological, we are actually, and there's nothing you can do, because that's where the whole world is going. COVID has actually taught us to do that. Even marketing women now know about Zoom. You see, so whether we like it or not, that is the reality. If you want to wait and say until you can have everything the way you want it, you know. So the best thing is to go on, as we are going on, we are supporting the schools to be able to deliver on what we want them to deliver on, starting by provision for the school, to the extent that we can also talk of provision for all teachers in school, for instance, through special laptop acquisition program for teachers, so that they have it to themselves, and they can also use it to do this thing even at their own pace and at their own time.
Okay, so Yellow Revolution now.
Yes.
according to record and report, it was gathered that this Yellow Roof revolution has scattered around the 3 senatorial districts of the state. But if I may ask, Honorable Commissioner, these points or locations where the schools, that are identified to have this Yellow Roof revolution accompanied with furnitures, if I would say, are they not strategically done based on political reasons, or you just?
No, you see, there are things you do politically, but there are things you do based on needs. While you want to say, okay, you divide things accordingly in a manner that you take care of political consideration. But political consideration will not get to the level of needs. What I'm trying to say is that if you have 10 schools and they are in need of buildings or furniture and so on, and it happens to be that in another location, maybe political geopolitical zone, you don't have much need. So you have to balance it and make sure that those who have need also have, because it means at one point or the other maybe things have been done in that area. So in other words, we balance it. While we have done it to touch all there is hardly any local government you get to. You won't even get to any local government without saying that it has been done to this extent that even words, you see that every word. So that's how it has been done. But at the same time, so we are balancing political consideration also with needs. So we make sure that those who need should get. In other words, if school A, B, C, D are in the east, for instance, and then in the west you have other schools, maybe E, F, G, H, and then the needs, you need to balance to ensure that you give to all the zones, all the geopolitical zones or divisions, and then at the same time you also want to consider the needs in each of these divisions. So
are they made based on requests from a school?
Because that's what I'm saying, that because we have database that we use, because right from my office I sit down and I can actually see the needs, and then what some people don't realize at times is that, let me give a hypothetical example. If you need to supply about, say, 500 tables and chairs in a school, and if I have produced maybe 5,000, and there are needs all over the state, I'm not going to say I will sort out the entire 500 in this school before I sort out all that. So I have to balance it and look at the needs in all the various schools, and then we do another round and so on like that until we sort it out for everybody.
Okay, it's a program that tends to showcase the activities of government. You want to talk about the achievement of the ministry. You want to say that, okay, we have done well, we are on the average, and we are on the 100 if you want to score yourself.
Yes, well, for me, I would say, if it's in terms of percentage, I would say we have done nothing less than 80%, and I have my reasons for that. When you do percentage, what you use as the denominator determines so. And when you look at where we are starting from, where we started from, you see that this administration, when you put what has been achieved within 3.5 years, side by side with what has happened maybe in other administration, you see that this administration has not done badly. For me, every administration will come and do so, another one will still come. But I think what this administration has been able to achieve within these 3.5 months, when you look at it and juxtapose, you actually say, well, we have done very, very well.
Okay, I want to believe that when His Excellency said, I'm going to leave Ogun State better than I met it, I'm sure this is a system-driven approach that he has adopted to ensure that everything works out fine. Yes, we're in Ogun State, a state where we speak both Yoruba and English language. This program also allows you to tell us the summary of all you have said now in Yoruba language. So you want to talk to our people now.
Mo fẹ́ sọ pé ìjọba gómìnà wa Ọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún, nígbà tí wọ́n dé orí àlééfà, wọ́n pe ìpè pàjáwìrì lórí ètò ẹ̀kọ́, nítorí pé wọ́n wò pé nǹkan táwọn bá ń lẹ̀ yìí kò bójúmu tó, kì í ṣe ibi tó yẹ kí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ wà ló wà yìí. Ìyẹn ń ṣẹjọ́ ẹnìkankan, ṣe mọ̀ pé ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn wọ́n ti dálẹ̀ tipẹ́tipẹ́, so àwọn iléèwé náà ti wà ń bẹ́ẹ̀, so gbogbo ètò ẹ̀kọ́ yẹn oníkàlùkù ń dé ó ń gbìyànjú tiẹ̀, ìjọba mi àdé ṣe tiẹ̀, ṣùgbọ́n gbà tó dé orí pókú tí ì tẹ́hun lọ́rùn, so gómìnà wa pe ìpè pàjáwìrì lórí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ pé àfi ká tètè ṣe kí ní kọ́mọkọ́mọ torí ìgbà mélòó ni wọ́n fi ń parí sáà tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe so nítorí ìdí èyí gómìnà wa sọ pé ó yá o bóyá àwọn ọmọ tó ń yẹ pé ó yẹ kán lọ léèwé tí wọ́n lè lọ léèwé kí wọ́n bá sí pé bóyá ìdíwọ́ wà fún wọn wọ́n wá sọ pé gbogbo owó tó ń gbà léèwé fún ìdíkan àbí wọn ní gbogbo ọ̀nà fagilé nígbà tí wọ́n fagilé àwọn ètò orí owó bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ó jẹ́ kí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ tó yẹ kó wá sí léèwé kan tún wá àwọn ọmọ wa pọ̀ níléèwé dáadáa ó fún wọn láǹfààní yàtọ̀ sí èyí nígbà tí wọ́n ti pe ìpè pẹ̀jáwìrì yẹn àti ẹ̀rọ agbé ètò kan jáde à ń pè ní Ogun State Education Revitalization Agenda ṣe rí agenda yẹn ní tí bá ní kí n túmọ̀ ẹ̀ sí Yorùbá nǹkan tó ń sọ ní pé ètò tá a gbé kalẹ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kí a ta ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ká ta jí so ètò yẹn orí òpó mẹ́fà ló dúró lé lórí ìkíní ní òpó yẹn ni ìtànpẹ̀ ní curriculum yẹn ètò nǹkan tí à ń kọ́ ọmọ léèwé àti bá ṣe ń kọ́ wọn ìkejì ní ètò ní management ní ètò bá ṣe ń ṣàkóso ní iléèwé ẹ̀kẹta ẹ̀ òun ni ti ètò ká lo ẹ̀rọ ayárabíàṣá láti fi kọ́ mọ technology láti fi kọ́ mọ àbí láti fi ṣe àwọn ètò nǹkan mi ẹ̀kẹrin nínú òpó yẹn òun ni infrastructure ìyẹn ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú pé bóyá ilé kíkọ́ ni oníléèwé o àwọn iléèwé kàwé ni o àti àga tó fi ń kàwé tó ń lò ní iléèwé àti gbogbo àwọn nǹkan èlò tó ń lò ní iléèwé pátápátá ìyẹn ni infrastructure ẹ̀kẹrin ni revenue yẹn ni àwọn ètò owó ìṣúná tí wọ́n ń lò láti fi ṣe ètò ẹ̀kọ́ àkàrùn yìí tí mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn ẹ̀kẹfà ẹ̀ ó wá ní ti àwọn olùkọ́ tó ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ níléèwé àti àwọn ọmọ náà níléèwé wípé kí ni ètò àlàáfíà tá a ṣe lẹ̀ fún àwọn yẹn ṣé rí mẹ́fẹ̀ẹ̀fà yẹn bá a ṣe ń bá wọn ṣe lọ là ń rí i pé òun la fi ń tọpinpin nǹkan tá à ń ṣe ṣé wá rí àwọn ọ̀gá iléèwé gómìnà wa wọ́n wò pé kọ́ lè ṣe àkóso iléèwé dáadáa wọ́n fún wọn ní owó ìrànwọ́ tó máa ń lò lóṣooṣù láti fi òun náà ń pè ní running cost láti lè máa ṣe àkóso iléèwé nígbà tá a ṣe fún bí ọdún kan gómìnà wa tún mú owó yẹn ó tún ṣe nílọ́po ó tiẹ̀ lé nílọ́po pàápàá so ní tàbá ọ̀pọ̀ nǹkan jẹ́ 120% ó ti lé lọ́gọ́rùn-ún ogún lé lọ́gọ́rùn-ún so ó tún náà fi ṣe ìkún owó fún owó yẹn yàtọ̀ sí yẹn àwọn ọmọ tó wà ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ special needs la máa ń pè wọ́n so láwọn ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ilé ìwé tá a ṣe fún wọn márùn-ún ilé ìwé yẹn nípínlẹ̀ Ògùn wọ́n rí i pé owó tó fi ń fún wọn lóúnjẹ ńléèwé ìjọba wọ́n fi kún owó yẹn tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ oúnjẹ kọ̀ọ̀kan tó ń jẹ 80 naira ìyẹn ní 100 naira wọ́n sọ di 120 naira so láti lè jẹ́ kó oúnjẹ yẹn kó tún lè ṣe dáadáa sí yàtọ̀ sí yẹn nǹkan táwọn ọmọ tí ó wà ní àwọn iléèwé tá à ń sọ yẹn àwọn ọmọ àkàndá ìdá irú àga tó máa ń lò tán tó ń pè ní wheelchair á fún wọn lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ mẹ́ta láti ṣe ètò yẹn á fún wọn àwọn tó bí pé wọn ríran dáadáa wọ́n fún wọn láwọn igi kan báyìí wọ́n máa ń pè ní white clay tó fi máa ń ríran láti wọ́n fi máa ń rìn kó lè jẹ́ kí ìrìn kó yá wọn then irú ìwé tó máa ń kà ìwé yẹn wọ́n pè ní braille so ibi tó ti máa ń ṣe ibẹ̀ yẹn nígbà tó dálẹ̀ ní nǹkan bíi 2007 kò pẹ́ tán lò ní ó ti fi bàjẹ́ ìjọba ìlú adé ló wá tún mú ilé ibẹ̀ yẹn tó ti jẹ́ kó ti wà ní láti jọ ọ̀ṣẹ́ wà tún sọ yìí nísìnyí ibẹ̀ náà láti ń ṣe kìíní fún àwọn ọmọ tó tún wọn rí ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́yẹn tó bákan náà àwọn ètò tá a fi ń ṣèdánwò níléèwé àti túbọ̀ tún ṣe torí jẹ́ pé ilé iṣẹ́ wa níbí báyìí ilé iṣẹ́ ti wà níbí báyìí là ń ṣètò gbogbo àwọn ìwé tó máa fi dáhùn béèrè àti tó jẹ́ pé special one làwọn òwe yẹn à ń ṣe lọ́dọ̀ wa ń bẹ̀ yẹn náà then lára ètò ayárabíàṣá tá a fi sínú ètò ẹ̀kọ́ a ní platform kan tó yẹ pé òun ni àwọn olùkọ́ àtàwọn ọmọléèwé náà ń lò àwọn olùkọ́ máa ń lò láti fi máàkì attendance àwọn ọmọ tó bá yẹn wá sí iléèwé àwọn náà òun láti ń lò láti fi ṣe ètò èsì ìdánwò tó ń mú lọ ilé report sheet à ń pè yẹn ní electronic dossier so àwa ní ìpínlẹ̀ àkọ́kọ́ tó máa ṣe irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà so irú yẹn náà lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ so àwọn ọmọ wa níléèwé ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gíga lọ́hùn yunifásitì níwèé yunifásitì àti polytechnic àti so a ṣètò bursary fún wọn a lè ṣètò ẹ̀kọ́ fáwọn tó yẹ kó wọ́n mọ̀wé dáadáa scholarship àwọn tó yẹ pé àwọn fi bẹ́ẹ̀ náà mọ̀wé ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n wá láti ilé tó yẹ pé kò ságbára púpọ̀ a ṣètò fún wọn tó yẹ pé wọ́n máa kàwé díẹ̀ wọ́n máa ṣiṣẹ́ díẹ̀ máa ń pè kíní yẹn ní work study fún àwọn náà kán lè ráyè ṣe ìjọba yìí náà tún ṣètò àgbà àwọn olùkọ́ níwọ̀n bíi ọdún 10 sí ọdún 12 nípínlẹ̀ Ògùn àgbà olùkọ́ ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí ìjọba yìí dé ayé pé àwọn olùkọ́ àwọn kan ń fẹ̀yìntì wọ́n ń kúrò lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ àdẹ̀gbà wọn yàn so ilé ìwé kò sáwọn olùkọ́ púpọ̀ so àgbà ọgọ́rùn-ún márùn yẹn à ń ṣe nípele ìpele láti gba ọgọ́rùn-ún méjì kan àti ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ọgọ́rùn-ún kan yòókù nsìn ó ti ń di ọgọ́rùn-ún mẹ́ta so ìyẹn á tún dí àwọn ibi tí àyè wà ní àwọn iléèwé wa so a dẹ̀ rí pé àwọn even gan lẹ́ẹ̀kan gbà mọ́ sọ lóyìnbó mi àwọn òbí torí pé kó má sì gbé bóyá kì í gbé àtàwọn sẹ́yìn nínú ètò bá ṣe máa kọ́mọ níléèwé afọ́ọ̀mù wọn tá à ń pè ní parents club torí pé káwọn òbí náà lè rí bí kópa nínú bá ṣe ń ṣètò bá ṣe ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ níléèwé ẹ̀jẹ̀ rí pé àwọn old students àwọn yẹn náà a tún pè wọ́n kọ́ náà ṣe ìrànlọ́wọ́ nítorí ìjọba nìkan ò lè ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ kò síbi tí ìjọba nìkan ti ń ṣe káàkiri àgbáyé so gbogbo eléyìí ni lára àwọn nǹkan tá a ṣe pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n àwọn tí ó ṣe kókó tí mo lè sáré sọ òun ni mo sọ yẹn gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ ìbéèrè lọ́rùn lóyìnbó lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé téèyàn bá wò ìpè téèyàn bá fẹ́ sọ pé fúnra mi ní mark bí báwo la fẹ́ sọ pé àṣetò kẹmọ̀ téèyàn bá jẹ́ olójú alóhùn gba gbogbo ẹ̀tàn lójú mi afẹ́ gba gbogbo ẹ̀tàn ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tó ti jẹ́ pé àwọn nǹkan kan sì tún wà tá a máa ṣe àgbẹ̀dẹ̀ nípa gba gbogbo ẹ̀tàn ìyẹn mo sọ pé nínú ìdá 100 pé àmú 100 ogún tó kù àfilẹ̀ nítorí pé àmọ́ ìpá àwọn nǹkan sì wà náà tá a máa ṣe àtàwọn nǹkan mìíràn ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ tá a ti ṣe tán tó bá yẹ kó ti jọ́gọ́rùn wọn á kún ní ká máa lọ lé pé kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan lẹ̀ láti ṣe mọ́ so èmi gbàgbọ́ pé ìjọba ọmọọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ó mú ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní òkùnkùndùn kò ní dẹ̀ ṣe pé ó kàn sọ lẹ́nu ó sọ ó dẹ̀ ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tá a lè sọ pé a máa ṣe náà nípa ètò ẹ̀kọ́ náà gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ni a ti ṣe àfi nǹkan tó tún kù tó jẹ́ pé a tún gbèrò pé a fẹ́ ṣe àwọn láṣẹ tó mú wá tá à ń ṣe báyìí láti lè jẹ́ pé ètò ẹ̀kọ́ yẹn ó ṣeé ṣe kí ẹ rí káwọn èèyàn máa sọ pé ṣùgbọ́n sọ pé ẹ ṣe gbá ẹ ṣàwò báwo ló jẹ́ pé a ìtún rí nítorí máa ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn náà sì ń tún rí àwọn ọmọ kan tó ń jókòó lẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ nílé ìwé mo ní kì í ṣe gómìnà Abíọ́dún ló ní táwọn ọmọ máa jókòó lẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ àwọn ọmọ yẹn ti ń jókòó lẹ́ẹ̀lẹ́ kí gómìnà tó dé àwọn wá ń gbé wọn dìde ńlẹ̀ ńsìn tí àwọn pé àwọn àga tí ò sí tẹ́lẹ̀ àṣẹwà ń pọ̀ ńsìn bá ṣe ń sọ yìí ńsìn à ń kan tébù àti chair ní tí wọ́n sọ pé 25,000 láti kọ́ ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n láti kọ́ ọkàn láwọ̀kọ́ ayé tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ 25,000 míì àjẹ tún ti ń ṣe lọ ṣé mo sọ fún yín pé àwọn ilé olórùlé yẹ́lò tá a ti ṣe nígbà tí gómìnà wa dé a ti ṣe ẹgbẹ̀rún kan tẹ́lẹ̀ ayé tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹgbẹ̀rún kan sìn ìyẹn máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti January wọ́n gbéṣẹ́ fún àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ wọ́n pè wọ́n láti SAN wọ́n láti station so àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ yẹn káàkiri gbogbo 20 local governments tó wà lóko state wọ́n á gbéṣẹ́ yẹn fún wọn ó yẹ pé wọ́n wá àwọn náà wá ń ṣe àwọn àgbà yẹn wọ́n ń pàgbà sí iléèwé àwọn náà tó ń ríṣẹ́ ṣe so inú wọn dùn pé àwọn ọba ríṣẹ́ ṣe láti yọ ìtẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn wá ń ríṣẹ́ ṣe ń sìn so màá sọ Yorùbá náà pé gbogbo àwọn ètò tá a náà ti ṣe lára àǹfààní tí a ti rí ń bẹ̀ ni pé lára àwọn ọmọ iléèwé wa iléèwé tó jẹ́ tìjọba nísìn àwọn màá lọ ń gbégbá olókè ọmọ tó gba tó jẹ́ kó jẹ́ best overall ní Nàìjíríà nínú competition tó máa ń pè ní JETS tó kọjá yìí ó jẹ́ ọmọ tó wá láti iléèwé ti ìjọba kì í ṣe iléèwé aládàáni o iléèwé tìjọba African Church Grammar School tó yẹ pé òun ló yẹ best overall ní Nàìjíríà lára àwọn iléèwé rárá tó jẹ́ pé iléèwé tìjọba tí òun ṣe aládàáni náà ló ṣe best ló jẹ́ the best primary school ní Nàìjíríà ní inú October 5 tó kọjá yìí wọ́n ṣì ṣe tí wọ́n fún wọn ní award ní Abuja náà bí tí ó bá yẹ pé gómìnà wa ń ṣe àwọn nǹkan kan tó yẹ pé ó jẹ́ pé àwọn nǹkan yẹn ó làmìlàkà ni àìní ṣe àwọn báwa kọ́lá fúnra ní award wọ́n lọ gbà l'Abuja ni wọ́n jẹ́ ìwò pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn states tó wà ní Nàìjíríà òun náà fi ṣe nǹkan tán ṣe yẹn so a yẹ pé gómìnà wa èmi gbà pé wí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n dẹ̀ ń sọ wọ́n dẹ̀ ń ṣe lọ ìjọba dẹ̀ ń ṣe lọ iná ìtòdúkú náà àyètò ń ṣe àyètò ní àwọn ètò mìíràn tá a tún fẹ́ gbé jáde lórí ètò ẹ̀kọ́.
Thank you, Honourable Commissioner, for being with us on the program today. You know, when they say that a mark is 80%, that shows a grade. It means for a government that has been able to say that I am scoring myself so far, I can say I've done 80% in all that we have been able to do in the education sector. It shows that the government is not paying a lip service to what they promise they want to do. And on that note, we've come to the end of the program today. Scorecard on OGTV with Morenikeji Shobaluju. Don't forget, this program is powered by the Ogun State Government Delivery Unit and under the supervision of Mr. Lekon Onomusi, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Government Delivery Unit. Until we meet again next week on the show. Until then, I remain your anchor,